The fifth floor, a hunger that remains. They say desperation has a scent. If that were true, I think it smelled like rust, moldy newspapers, and rain-soaked mildew the day I moved into Merpati Heights. I had 1,000 RAM left in my account, a dead phone, and a plastic bag of instant noodles to last the week. The kind of broke where even breathing feels expensive. When I saw the ad for room 5D, fully furnished, 250 RAMs a month, quiet tenants, I didn't hesitate. I didn't ask why it was so cheap. I didn't ask why no one else answered the door when I buzzed. I just walked in, like prey wandering into a predator's lair. When I reached the fifth floor, the hallway twisted. It was dim, endless. The lights buzzed overhead in uneven pulses, like the corridor was breathing. Something about the air tasted metallic, like blood. Room 5D waited at the end. My key turned easily, too easily, as if it had been used already. The door opened on its own. The apartment was too quiet. Silence should be comforting. But this was the kind of silence that hummed in your ears, like the building was whispering in a frequency I wasn't meant to hear. No dust, no signs of life, just stale air, like someone had breathed their last, and the apartment was still holding on to it. Then came the paper slid under my door that first night. Rules for survival. 1. No eye contact with tenants for more than 3 seconds. 2. Don't speak unless spoken to. 3. Leave a full glass of water outside your door every night before 12 a.m. 4. Never be in the hallway after midnight. 5. If you hear knocking from inside the walls, don't knock back. The handwriting was frantic, uneven. The ink smudged like someone had written it while crying. I thought it was a joke, but that night, I obeyed, just in case. And when I placed the glass outside, I swore I saw something crouched at the far end of the hallway, pale, stretched, watching me. Madame Liana from 5B greeted me the next morning. She was already at my door when I opened it, like she knew I would. Her face was expressionless, except for a smile that looked stapled into place. Her eyes were glassy, reflective. "Welcome to Merpati Heights," she said. The corners of her mouth twitched, like she was remembering how to smile. "You'll like it here." Her skin was tight, as if stretched over something else. Something beneath that was still wriggling. Behind her, other doors opened slightly. Faces peeked out, but their expressions were frozen, unmoving, as if someone had pressed pause on their humanity. I said nothing. She nodded, satisfied, and left. The hallway light went out right after. The first week felt like a blur, like the building was testing me, watching me, tasting me. At first, everything seemed strangely perfect. My chronic migraines vanished, as if they had been surgically removed from my skull. The dull, ever-present pain that used to cling to my temples like a second skin, gone. And then the emails began. My dead inbox boomed with life. Job offers came from companies I didn't remember applying to. Agencies I had never heard of claimed to be longtime admirers of my work. One firm, with a sleek black logo I couldn't remember designing for, offered me a remote position, RM $8,000 salary, full benefits, a glowing portfolio displayed on their website with my name and face, testimonials from people I didn't know, clients I never met, but I hadn't sent them anything, not a resume, not even a reply. The next day, 3 bank transfers landed in my account. RM $210.43, RM $666.00, RM $1,212. Each amount left a sour taste in my mouth, like something had been traded behind my back. When I tried to reverse them, my screen flickered. The mouse stuttered, then froze. The bank's site dissolved into static. My cursor dragged itself, against my will, into the corner of the screen, hovering over a pixelated eye icon I had never seen before. Then the whispers came. Not from within the apartment, but from above. The ceiling tiles clicking like bones. From beneath the sink, where water hadn't run for days, but still sounded like it dripped. From the drains, where something wet and slithering shifted behind rusted metal. A chorus, whispers rising like steam. You belong to us now. I backed into a corner, covered my ears, but the whisper wasn't in the air. It was inside me. It threaded through my veins, pulsing with every heartbeat. The walls exhaled. I swear they moved. Just slightly, as if making room for me. That night, I dreamed of wires feeding into my spine, of limbs that weren't mine twitching in rhythm with the hum of the walls, of lights blinking in my eyes like fluorescent possession. When I woke, my room smelled like burnt hair and iron. I checked my phone. A photo had been added to my gallery. It was me, sleeping, taken from the ceiling. I told myself it was a prank, a hallucination, stress, but the building wouldn't let me believe that. I started hearing footsteps above me, not pacing, not walking, crawling on the ceiling. Sometimes I saw it, a shadow, long-limbed and insect-like, skittering across the corners of my vision. Never full, never centered, always watching. Then my clock started changing. All the numbers melted, warped into symbols I didn't recognize. My phone would vibrate at exactly 3:03 a.m. each night. A message would blink on screen. Still here? I began to forget simple things. My mother's face, my name, what day it was. One morning, I looked in the mirror and couldn't remember if I'd ever been outside this building. Had I moved here last week? Last month? Why couldn't I remember packing? Why couldn't I remember the sun? I found scratches under my bed. Not claw marks. Words, don't trust the mirror. So I covered every reflective surface. Even then, I saw it. That version of me. The one with the twitchy smile. The one who moved a second too slow. It watched me from the turned-off TV. The microwave door. My phone screen when it went black. One night, I caught it mouthing something to me. It said, "You're not Johan anymore. I stopped responding to emails. I unplugged the router. I smashed the fridge. Didn't matter. The job offers kept coming. The money kept arriving. Even when I tore the power from the wall, the lights turned on by themselves. The building was feeding me, nourishing, for something. And deep down, I no longer wanted to leave, because part of me, the part I couldn't silence, wanted to belong. It was a mistake. I just needed to use the toilet. My bladder woke me from a feverish half-sleep, and in my dazed state, I didn't think to check the time. I assumed it was still early, still safe. The clock on my wall had stopped. It was 12:03 a.m. The moment I opened the door, I knew something was wrong. The hallway wasn't just dim, it was drenched in a darkness that pulsed like it was alive. The buzzing ceiling light above my door flickered once, then again, then died. Silence. The kind that presses against your skull, thick, suffocating. Then I heard it. The creak. Wood against tile. Slow, deliberate. Something moved at the far end of the corridor, half shrouded in shadow. She stepped into the pale sliver of moonlight, leaking through a cracked window. A figure, a woman in a tattered kabaya. Her hair hung in wet ropes tangled around her shoulders. Her skin was pale, not sickly, corpse pale, gray-blue, stretched too tightly across her bones. Her head lolled to one side like her neck had been broken. Her arms dangled loosely, twitching in soft, unnatural jerks, as if controlled by invisible strings. A marionette forgotten in a dust-covered attic. Her feet never touched the ground. She drifted forward, the fabric of her kabaya dragging along the floor, leaving a smear of something dark behind her. My feet froze to the ground. My breath caught in my throat. Then she stopped and turned. Her face, God, her face, her mouth unhinged. It opened impossibly wide, splitting at the corners until it reached both ears. Her lips peeled back like cracked leather. There were no teeth, only void. Then came her voice, a guttural rasp, like glass dragged across tile, like insects crawling inside my ears. You broke the rule. That was when the doors began to creak open, one by one, slowly, in perfect synchronized timing. 5A, 5B, 5C, 5E, 5F. The neighbors stood in their doorways. Madame Liana, the man who always wore slippers and smiled too long. The twins from 5F with hollow eyes. They weren't blinking. They weren't breathing. They just watched her, smiling. Their faces distorted slightly, as though something was wearing them, mimicking the gestures of humanity, but failing to understand them. And then they stepped forward, in unison. I ran. I didn't think, didn't breathe, just ran. The hallway seemed to stretch as I sprinted toward my door. The walls grew narrower, squeezing me. The lights above sparked and shattered, raining hot glass. I stumbled into 5D and slammed the door behind me, chest heaving. Silence returned, but it was different now. It watched me. I turned slowly. The inside of my door was gouged. Fresh claw marks, deep, red-tinged, still bleeding. carved into the wood like fingernails, or something worse, had tried to drag itself in, or perhaps drag me out. I woke up drenched in sweat. The room was too quiet, too clean. The sunlight filtering through the curtains felt artificial, the kind used on film sets. Warm, inviting, fake. For a brief, foolish moment, I thought I had dreamt it all. The woman in the hallway, the claw marks, the whispers in the drain. I blinked and looked around. Everything seemed normal. A little too normal. My suitcase was packed. My shoes were by the door. And there, on the desk, sat the rules, neatly folded, with the same smudged ink. I hadn't touched them since the first night, but now they were rewritten, typed, neatly formatted. You cannot break what is beneath the walls. The words crawled across the bottom. Something in me cracked. I grabbed my bag and bolted. The stairwell was dead silent. No echo, no draft. Just that oppressive pressure again. Like I was walking underwater. I ran. Down one flight, 2, 3, only to find myself standing in front of the door to the 5th floor. 5D. I blinked. My heart pounded in my ears. I turned and ran in the opposite direction, up this time. But again, the same landing greeted me. The numbers on the wall seemed to change when I wasn't looking. I spun in place, trying to trace my steps. My bag dropped from my shoulder, scattering my things. I didn't stop, didn't think. I screamed, loud, raw, until my throat burned and my voice gave out. I slammed my fists into the walls. Then I grabbed the nearest chair from the hallway, turned to the decorative mirror mounted on the far wall, and hurled it. Glass exploded into 100 jagged pieces. The sound echoed down the hallway like a scream. I stared at the shards, but my reflection didn't shatter with them. Instead, my phone buzzed. The screen blinked on without touch. One message: stay, stay, stay. My hands trembled. I went to the kitchen, desperate for proof that the world still existed beyond this hell. I yanked the curtains aside. There was no city skyline, no rooftops, no roads, just swirling ashen fog that pulsed with an unnatural rhythm. It moved in sync with something I felt more than heard, a low, steady heartbeat. Thump, 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 from the fog, from the walls, from beneath the floorboards. I sank to my knees. The building wasn't holding me hostage. It had absorbed me, and I finally understood. There was no outside anymore, only the 5th floor, and it was alive. I don't remember when I last ate. The hunger faded quickly, almost too quickly. I no longer needed sleep either. My body twitched at night, jerked awake by whispers that fed me something else, something not meant for humans. I'd sit for hours staring at the mirror, even though I'd covered it with blankets, towels, anything I could find. But the reflection always found its way back. It smiled when I didn't. It winked. It whispered, "You are not the first. You are not the last." And then the dreams came. Or maybe they were memories. Maybe they were real. I saw fire, screams, children clawing at stone walls, their fingers cracked and bleeding, nails torn off. I saw shadows pulling them away, dragging them down long corridors that didn't exist on any floor plan. And I saw me. I wasn't myself in those visions. I was tall, twisted, my mouth opened far wider than it should. A black maw, hungry and endless. I dragged a man out of his apartment. He begged. He scared. I remember the wet sound of his fingernails on tile. I didn't feel remorse, only purpose. When I looked down at my hands the next morning, I gasped. They weren't mine anymore. The fingers were longer. The skin was tight, paper thin. Beneath it, something shifted. Something just beneath the surface, like larvae beneath skin. I wore gloves after that, but I knew the change wasn't just skin deep. I'd look in the mirror and see not one reflection, but three. One of them blinked when I didn't. Another kept mouthing something I couldn't hear, until one night I listened. Welcome home. I didn't feel alone anymore. I felt watched, protected, claimed. There are nights now where I stand in the hallway, in the same place the woman in the cabaya once stood. I tilt my head. I hang my arms. I smile. And when new footsteps echo on the stairwell, when the sound of a suitcase rolling down the 5th floor reaches my door, I open it. And I smile. I built this place over a school. That's what I read in the whispering blueprints. Yes, whispering. The paper was brittle with age, but it pulsed beneath my fingers like flesh. The ache shifted when I blinked too long. It was a school once, a government-run primary school in the 1960s, the kind with faded green chalkboards and iron-grilled windows. They said it caught fire one night, said it was electrical, but the fire report was vague, sanitized, too clean. 21 children, 1 janitor, all inside, all burned. But when the firemen arrived, there were no bodies, only ash and residue, a sticky, black substance that couldn't be cleaned. It had soaked into the tiles, the walls, the soil beneath the foundations. The school was demolished. The land was sold for almost nothing, and a private developer, one that had no history, no name, only a logo shaped like an open mouth, built Merpati Heights. The architect left behind notes, scrawled in manic B. A building must breathe. The tenants are the skin. The prey is the soul. Each floor is a layer of the organism. Each unit, a feeding chamber. It wasn't built to house people. It was built to consume them. The walls remember the screams. The pipes carry more than water. The elevator shaft is a throat. And the rules, they weren't protections. They were rituals, prayers, offerings. Obey them, and the building digests you slowly, comfortably. Disobey, and it chews. Farah arrived last week. She was bright, polite, hopeful. Her voice trembled just enough that I knew she was trying too hard to sound confident. She asked me for a lighter on her first day, said she just moved into 5A, that she liked how peaceful the building felt. Behind her eyes, I saw it. Fear. Not immediate, not loud. The kind you don't show until it's too late. The building had already marked her. The next night, I heard her pacing. Then her door creaked open, slowly, repeatedly, even when there was no wind, no movement. By night 3, she was sobbing. Not loudly, just enough that it felt like a part of the air itself. Like the sound was bleeding into the walls. By night 5, I heard her whisper through my keyhole. Her voice cracked, hollow. There's something living in my closet. It whispers my name in my mother's voice. I opened my door. She was there, pale, trembling. When her eyes met mine, something changed, because I was smiling.
If the shadows whisper to you tonight, let them know you're listening. Subscribe for more tales that crawl under your skin.